Today, we're diving into one of the most famously disturbing short stories ever written in American literature, Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. It's a story that starts on a beautiful sunny day and ends somewhere truly dark. So let's break down how Jackson built this quiet masterpiece of horror.
So picture this. The story opens on what seems like the most perfect day you can imagine. It's late June, the flowers are blooming, the grass is a perfect rich green. Jackson paints this picture of total, boring normalcy. It's just a small town getting ready for an annual event. You have absolutely no idea what's coming. And trust me, that's completely on purpose.
And get this, it's a tiny village. We're talking only about 300 people. Now that's a really important detail because this is a place where everybody knows everybody. These aren't strangers, they're neighbors. They've grown up together. They're chatting about crops and taxes, just normal small town stuff.
Then Jackson drops this little detail on us. The kids are out of school for the summer and they're running around gathering stones, piling them up in a corner of the town square. It just seems like a harmless game kids would play, right? But this one little action is one of the most chilling bits of foreshadowing you'll ever read. You're going to want to remember those stones.
Okay, so that brings us to the main event, the annual lottery. It's talked about like it's just another civic duty, maybe like a town hall meeting, but you can feel this, this undercurrent of tension. This isn't for a cash prize, it's just a tradition, a ritual that nobody, and I mean nobody, even thinks to question. And check out the guys running this whole thing. Their names are, wait for it, Mr. Summers and Mr. Graves. I mean, come on. Mr. Summers is this cheerful guy who runs all the town events, and Mr. Graves is the postmaster. Summer and the grave, life and death, they're literally overseeing this whole event. Jackson is basically screaming at us that something is very, very wrong here. And the main prop for the lottery, it's this old, beat-up black box. And it is in rough shape. It's splintered, faded, shabby. It's falling apart. People in the town even talk about making a new one, but, they never get around to it. It's the perfect symbol for the tradition itself, isn't it? It's decayed, its original meaning is totally lost, but they still cling to it out of pure, blind habit.
So you're probably asking, why? Why do they do this? Well, the only real reason we get is from this character, Old Man Warner, who's the oldest guy in town. He just repeats this old saying, lottery in June, corn be heavy soon. It's this flimsy, superstitious justification, and he's totally committed to it. He even calls the other towns that have stopped doing the lottery a pack of crazy fools. And that right there is a huge point. We find out that this, barbaric tradition isn't happening everywhere. Other nearby towns, more progressive ones, have already given it up. This completely raises the stakes. It tells us the villagers have a choice. They could stop, but they don't.
And now it begins, the fateful draw. The real tension starts to ratchet up. The head of each family has to come up and pull a single, folded slip of paper from that black box. And that casual, friendly vibe from the morning, it's starting to feel pretty strained.
Then, right in the middle of all this seriousness, Tessie Hutchinson comes rushing in. She's laid, she's joking around, saying she nearly forgot what day it was. Her whole attitude is just so light and casual. She's the only one who doesn't seem to be taking this seriously. At least, not yet.
And then it happens. Her husband, Bill Hutchinson, unfolds his piece of paper, and it's the one with the black spot. In that 1 second, everything about Tessie changes. The joking stops. She immediately starts yelling, "You didn't give him time enough to take any paper he wanted." All of a sudden, the lottery isn't just some quaint time tradition. For her, it's become terrifyingly real.
This is the moment the story pivots from just unsettling to genuinely horrifying. The focus narrows in completely on the Hutchinson family. Now there has to be a second draw, but this time it's just for them. One slip of paper for Bill, one for Tessie, and one for each of their 3 kids.
The suspense here is just unbearable. One by one, her kids open their slips. Blank. Her son Davy, her daughter Nancy. Blank. Her husband Bill shows his. Blank. And that means there's only one person left.
Tessie is forced to show her paper, and there it is, the black spot, the one that Mr. Summers just drew on there that morning with a piece of coal. She has won the lottery.
Her last words are just this desperate scream. It isn't fair. It isn't right. The very tradition she was laughing about just minutes before is now this horrible, monstrous injustice. Why? Because now she's the victim. But nobody listens. Her friends, her neighbors, people she's known her whole life, they just start to close in.
And the story ends with this brutal, simple, terrible line. The villagers, even her own family, pick up those stones, the ones the children were gathering so playfully at the start of the story, and they stone her to death. That friendly little community gathering was a ritual human sacrifice all along.
So, why has the story stuck with people and haunted them for decades? It's not just the shock of the violence. It's what the story says about us, about human nature. Let's really unpack the big ideas that make it so powerful.
At its core, this story is a huge warning about blindly following tradition. The villagers do this horrible thing just because that's what they've always done. It's about conformity, about how easily people can join a mob and do terrible things when everyone else is doing it. And it really gets at the darkness that can hide right under the surface of a polite society. It's about scapegoating, piling all your fears and problems onto one unlucky person and getting rid of them.
And Jackson uses these incredible symbols to hammer the themes home. The beat-up black box is the rotten tradition itself. The names Summers and Graves are literally life and death. But the stones are the real key. They represent this ancient primal violence, sure, but they also represent shared guilt. Think about it. If everyone throws a stone, then no one person is the murderer, right? The blame is spread out across the whole town.
So when you get right down to it, The Lottery isn't just a horror story. It's a timeless warning that is frankly just as relevant today as it was when it was written.
You got to remember, when this was published in The New Yorker in 1948, just after World War II, people absolutely lost their minds. The public reaction was furious. The magazine was flooded with hate mail, people canceled their subscriptions, they were shocked and outraged. They simply could not believe that this kind of mindless cruelty could exist in their own pleasant little towns.
And that's the absolute genius of the story. The monster isn't some ghost or creature lurking in the dark. It's your neighbors, it's your friends, it's ordinary people taking part in something awful on a perfectly beautiful summer day. The story is telling us that our civility might just be a very thin layer over something much more savage. And that capacity for violence, it doesn't just belong to some evil other. It's potentially inside all of us.
And all of that leaves us with one final, really unsettling question. The people in the story never stop to ask why. They just do what they've always done. And it forces us to turn that question on ourselves, on our own lives and our own societies. It makes us ask, what traditions do we follow without ever really questioning them? What ideas do we accept just because everyone else does? And that's a question that's just as chilling today as it was back in 1948.